What you are about to hear is not a drill, and it is not speculation. In a dramatic and escalating chain of events across the Middle East, Iranian forces launched coordinated strikes targeting United States military installations in the region. And the shockwaves from those strikes didn't stop there. Explosions were reported from Israel in the north, all the way south to the shores of the United Arab Emirates. The Gulf is on fire, politically, militarily, and in some places literally. I am Alice, and this is Alice Brief. Let's get into it. Let's start with the facts on the ground, because the situation is moving fast and the details matter. In the span of just hours, a sequence of military strikes shook the broader Gulf region. Iran, long the central player in the so-called axis of resistance, launched ballistic missiles and drone swarms targeting what intelligence officials have described as forward operating U.S. military positions in the region. These are the same types of bases that have been used as launch platforms for U.S. operations and that Iran has repeatedly labeled as what it calls occupation outposts. The strikes triggered immediate emergency protocols. Air defense systems, including U.S. Patriot batteries and Israeli Iron Dome installations, were activated. The skies over multiple countries lit up as interceptors attempted to knock down incoming threats. But here's the thing, not everything was intercepted. Reports coming in from multiple sources indicate that some projectiles made an impact. Damage assessments are still being finalized, but early imagery and eyewitness accounts paint a picture of destruction that cannot be easily dismissed. Infrastructure near at least one major U.S. installation sustained significant damage. Personnel are reported to have been evacuated. Whether there were American casualties, that information is still being held. Close by, the Pentagon. And while all of this was happening, Israel, which has its own ongoing front with Iranian-backed forces, went on high alert. Sirens rang out across multiple cities. The UAE, one of the most stable and globalized countries in the Gulf, saw reports of explosions near key strategic zones. And this is not a localized event. This is regional. To understand why this is happening now, you have to zoom out, way out. The Middle East has been operating under extreme pressure for months. The war in Gaza has stretched beyond what any party anticipated. Hezbollah in Lebanon has exchanged fire with Israeli forces repeatedly. The Houthis in Yemen, who receive Iranian backing, have been launching attacks on Red Sea shipping lanes, forcing global trade rerouting and drawing direct U.S. military responses. Iran has been playing a long game. Proxy pressure, strategic ambiguity, plausible deniability. That's been the Tehran playbook for years, but something shifted. Whether it was a specific provocation, a targeted strike on an Iranian-linked commander, a diplomatic breakdown, or a calculated decision by Tehran that the time for proxy war was over and direct confrontation was now. The result is the same Iran decided to move from the shadows into the open. And that is a massive escalation. For context, the last time Iran directly struck U.S. assets was in January 2020, after the killing of General Qasem Soleimani. That strike was telegraphed, measured, and followed by de-escalation signals. What we're seeing now feels different. The scale appears larger. The targets are more numerous. The messaging out of Tehran is less concerned with managing the aftermath. Some analysts are calling this the most significant direct Iranian military action against U.S. interests in over 2 decades. Now let's talk about Israel and the UAE, because those two elements of this story are critically important and often underreported in the initial chaos. Israel's involvement is not surprising. It's been a target of Iranian aggression directly and through proxies throughout this entire conflict cycle. But the fact that explosions are being reported inside Israeli territory as part of this same wave of strikes suggests a level of coordination, or at minimum, simultaneous opportunism, that raises the alarm significantly. If Iran's partners, Hezbollah, Hamas, remnants, the Houthis use the cover of this direct military action to launch their own simultaneous strikes, then what we're witnessing is a coordinated multi-front attack, not just in one country, not just on one military, but on the entire American allied architecture in the region. And then there's the UAE. The United Arab Emirates is a different kind of target. It's not a frontline country. It's a financial hub. It's home to American military assets. Yes, including Al Dhafra Air Base, one of the largest U.S. Air Force installations in the Middle East, but it's also home to the global headquarters of major corporations, millions of foreign nationals, and one of the world's busiest airports. Striking or attempting to strike, the UAE sends a message that goes beyond the military. It says, nowhere in the Gulf is safe. It says, even the countries that normalized relations with Israel, even the modernizing Gulf states, are not outside our reach. That message is designed to fracture the coalition, to make America's friends question whether American protection is worth the cost. And so how is the United States responding? As of now, the U.S. military has moved to its highest regional alert posture. Additional naval assets, including carrier strike groups, are being repositioned in the region. The Pentagon has confirmed it is actively assessing the situation and that all options remain on the table. Classic diplomatic language for we are deciding how hard to hit back. The White House has convened an emergency National Security Council meeting. Congressional leaders have been briefed, and U.S. allies, from NATO members to Gulf Cooperation Council states, are being consulted in real time. Here's the central question the administration is wrestling with right now. How do you respond to a direct Iranian strike on U.S. forces without triggering a full-scale regional war? That is the needle they have to thread. Hit too softly, and Iran believes it can strike with impunity. Hit too hard, and the entire Gulf explodes with global economic consequences that include oil prices, potentially spiking to levels that would devastate economies worldwide. This is geopolitics at its most dangerous intersection. Military, economic, and diplomatic pressures all converging at once. Let's be honest about what we don't know. Because in a situation like this, intellectual honesty matters more than false certainty. We don't know the full extent of the damage yet. We don't know whether the U.S. will conduct retaliatory strikes, and if so, against what targets inside Iran or Iranian proxy infrastructure. We don't know whether this was designed to be a one-time shock or the opening move of something much larger. What we do know is this. The Middle East has crossed a threshold tonight. Direct Iranian strikes on American forces at this scale, in this context, represent a line that has been crossed. And history tells us that lines once crossed are very hard to walk back across. The next 48 to 72 hours are going to be defining. Watch the movement of U.S. naval assets. Watch whether Iran signals any desire for de-escalation. Watch the oil markets, because they will tell you what the financial world thinks is about to happen before the politicians do. And watch this channel, because we will be covering every development as it happens. This is one of those moments where staying informed isn't just about being up to date. It's about understanding how the world you live in is being reshaped in real time. If this video helped you make sense of what's happening, hit that like button. It helps more people find this content when they need it most. Subscribe if you want real analysis without the noise. And drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think the U.S. should do? What do you think comes next? I'm Alice. Stay sharp, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.